If all you want for Christmas this year is an avalanche, then let me introduce you to Santa Claus. His name is Andrew Tate. Tater Claus skyrocketed in popularity in recent months by helping his fans through some difficult times. See, young men are getting mixed signals these days. On the one hand, they're being told to respect women and not to objectify women and to help bring down the patriarchy. On the other hand, they're being bombarded by videos where women brag about being whores who can get men to buy them stuff in exchange for access to their super wet vajayjays. Pretty confusing. Everywhere these guys turn, they see a bunch of rear ends twerking in their faces. But don't look, and don't like it, or you're pure evil. Okay, I won't look. Shame on you for not looking. Women shaking their derrieres in your face while bragging about being whores is empowering to women. It's liberating. So you're evil if you ignore them and don't support their bootylicious badonkadonks. Okay, I'll look at them. How dare you! How dare you stare at those big round buns bouncing up and down? Shame on you for objectifying that woman who's shaking that thing right in your face. Okay, it seems like I'm evil no matter what I do. This woman is literally calling herself a whore. If I agree with her, then I'm calling her a whore too, which means I'm bad. If I don't agree with her, then I'm not supporting her empowerment, which means I'm bad. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And it's like this with all kinds of things. If I hold the door for you, I'm supporting the patriarchy. If I don't hold the door for you, I'm a scumbag. Do I open the spaghetti sauce jar for you, or is that sexist? Do I squish the spider, or is that sexist? Do I tell you to hold my jacket while I punch this guy in the mouth for disrespecting you, or do I leave my jacket on and get this guy's blood all over me? Have you seen these videos where a woman is getting attacked on a train and guys are just standing around like they're paralyzed because they have no idea what they're supposed to do anymore? Young men are confused.
It's just confusing. Is it sexist to hit you? Is it more sexist to not hit you? I mean, the line gets real blurry.
So what do these confused, directionless young men do? For a while, they turned to Jordan Peterson. But their anger and confusion and resentment kept growing, so now they're turning to Andrew Tate, who's basically a younger, dumber version of Jordan Peterson if Jordan Peterson had become an abusive pimp instead of a psychologist. In 2016, Andrew Tate was kicked off the UK version of the reality show Big Brother for a video that showed him lashing a woman with a belt, and another video where he told a woman to count the bruises he'd given her, although, in his defense, the violence was consensual. He was also in trouble for racist and homophobic posts on social media. For instance, he said in a tweet, "The racist lady on the train is right." In another tweet, he said, "If I wanted to see black people running, I'd just threaten them with jobs." After that, Mr. Tate started a webcam girl company, which he described as a total scam. He trained his webcam girls to give fake sob stories to the men who were watching them in order to get the men to send them more money. Tate also founded Hustlers University, an online platform that trains young men to be hustlers. The affiliate marketing program for Hustlers University was shut down after it was declared to be a pyramid scheme. But Mr. Tate continues training people to think like the Tater himself at Hustlers University. Now, we shouldn't point too many fingers at Mr. Tate for taking advantage of confused young men. He saw an opportunity and he took it. This happens whenever there's a significant number of people who feel like they're being targeted or treated unfairly. Someone steps in to be their hero and champion, and the people rally around their new hero and champion. But the person is only able to step in as the hero because of some problem that hasn't been dealt with. We saw this with Black Lives Matter, talking about the organization, not the movement. For decades, a lot of people were saying that they had a problem with police. I don't mean a problem with police doing their jobs appropriately. I mean a problem with certain police officers using their badges to get away with harassing and abusing people. And the response to these claims of unfair treatment was, well, if you have a problem with cops, stop committing crimes, which didn't address the problem. So the problem wasn't dealt with. Then what happened? 3 young women stepped in and said that if everyone sends them money, they'll deal with the problem. So individuals and companies sent these young women tens of millions of dollars, which the 3 women spread around to their friends and family members and used to buy a lot of properties and to invest in the stock market. Horrible thing to do, but they were only able to do it because there was a problem that wasn't being dealt with. So it is with Andrew Tate. Some young men aren't feeling good about the way things are going. They're feeling despised and rejected, lonely and depressed. That's when the Tater steps in and tells them that he can make them successful. He can show them how to be men. So the Tater has amassed a huge following of young men whom we can affectionately dub the Tater Tots. You can condemn the Tater all you want, but he's only there because there was a problem that wasn't being dealt with. He's just taking advantage of it and using it to make endless chunks of money. Might as well be him, because if he wasn't doing it, someone else would. So far, so good. But there's a plot twist. The Tater recently announced that he had converted to Islam. Now, there are reasons to be suspicious. This is a guy who has admitted to scamming people. This is a guy who has told his followers to stir up drama and controversy on social media in order to generate more attention. And there are some significant similarities between the Muslim community and his normal target audience. Muslim leaders are in a state of panic because of what they call the avalanche of apostasy.
24% of Muslim youth are leaving Islam.
Previously, according to me, when a person from Saudi Arabia or from the Gulf country went to America or went to Western country, the chances that they would deviate from the deen would be maybe 1 or 2%. That's it. But nowadays, the chances are more than 25%.
And if we don't take constructive steps to deal with this, it is going to become an avalanche.
What do people do when they're terrified because of an emerging problem? They rally around a hero or champion who promises to deal with the problem for them. This is why so many dawagandists suddenly became so popular. The Muslim world is in a state of panic over the avalanche of apostasy, and Muslims think that dawah can save their children. Pretty much anyone on the planet who wants to take advantage of the Muslim community right now can get away with it. If you're a Muslim, you just tell them that you're going to rescue their kids from apostasy using the power of dawah. If you're a non-Muslim, you can just announce that you've converted to Islam, and you can make up absolutely any reason whatsoever, no matter how ridiculous. Whatever you say, as long as it supposedly convinced you that Islam is true, they'll believe it. And they'll make you the new poster boy or poster girl for their religion. You'll be showered with praise and fame and money. So, when someone like Andrew Tate gets banned from a bunch of social media platforms and then suddenly announces his conversion to Islam, we can't help but wonder if this is part of some scheme. But we'll take the Tater at his word and assume that he's sincere. After all, if his conversion were just a scheme, it would be a pretty dangerous one because Muhammad ordered his followers to execute apostates. We'll give the Tater the benefit of the doubt and assume that he's telling the truth. So, why did a webcam pimp and professor at Hustlers University convert to Islam? Well, he tells us in his interview with part-time stripper Mohammed Hijab. On a side note, since Hijab likes stripping so much, maybe the Tater can get him a webcam job. Looks like we found the Cardi B of Muslim dawagandists. But let's hear from the Tater.
Well, I think a lot of people who've been following me for a while understand that I've been very respectful of Islam for a long time.
Yeah, sure.
I was born in a Christian country. I was raised as a Christian. And I've always been very respectful of Islam. And it's become more and more obvious to me and more pertinent that Islam is the last religion on the planet.
Islam is the last religion on the planet. There are nearly 8 billion people in the world, but only one religion remains, according to world-renowned sociologist Andrew Tate. Remember when I said that you can give any reason, no matter how ridiculous, for converting and the Muslim community will believe you? Announcing that you converted because Islam is the only religion left is Exhibit A. Saying that Christianity doesn't exist, that Judaism doesn't exist, that Hinduism doesn't exist is so utterly moronic that there's only one place in the world you could get away with saying it, and that's in an interview with someone like part-time stripper and future webcam boy, Mohammed Hijab. But let's pretend that Tate's claim isn't the most idiotic thing anyone has ever said, and we'll try to figure out what he means.
What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian nations and everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone actually fearful of God? Anybody? No. The girls are out on Saturday night drinking and then they turn up to church because their parents made them.
Now, this is interesting. This sounds like a common Islamic caricature of Christian churches. And notice Hijab sitting there agreeing with everything the Tater says. Churches are filled with sluts. And all they do is sit around getting drunk and high and banging a bunch of guys. And then they go to church. My church isn't like that at all. My last church wasn't like that at all. My church before that wasn't like that at all. Maybe there are churches like that, but I've never been to one. And yet, according to the webcam king and his new part-time stripper bestie, it's okay to completely generalize churches in this way. You Muslims who are watching, let me ask you this. If you were watching an interview between a Christian preacher and a former Muslim who had just converted to Christianity, and the former Muslim said, "I left Islam because Christianity is the only religion left in the world. Islam is dead because the mosques are filled with terrorists. All they do in mosques is sit around learning to build bombs and plotting the next attack. It's all they do there." If you saw that, would you think that the former Muslim had any integrity whatsoever? Would you think that his generalization was okay? Wouldn't you be thinking to yourself, what's this lunatic talking about? We're not building bombs in my mosque. Now, are there lots of Christians who don't take Christianity very seriously and so they don't try to follow Jesus? Yes. And there are Christians who take Christianity very seriously and dedicate their lives to following Jesus. Are there lots of Muslims who don't take Islam very seriously and so they don't try to follow Muhammad? Yes. And there are Muslims who take Islam very seriously and dedicate their lives to following Muhammad. Every religion has a spectrum of followers. So, talking to the Muslims who are watching, why is it that when you look at any other religion, you point to the people who aren't following it and you say, see, that's the religion. But when we look at Islam, we're only supposed to look at the absolute best Muslims if we want to know about the religion. Why do you cheer when people apply ridiculous generalizations to every religion but yours? Is that the only way to make you feel good about your religion? But the Tater's got more. The great webcam guru and Hustlers University professor says that Islam reflects his personal values.
Islam very closely reflects my personal beliefs. Through my personal life, I've learned that if you don't have standards and you're not a strong person who's prepared to defend his ideas, you'll be crushed.
Yes.
And we look at most religions in the world today which are not prepared to defend their ideas. What's happened to them? They're just getting crushed.
Did you catch that? Islam is ready to defend its ideas. Other religions aren't. What could he possibly mean here? How many Christian apologetics books and Christian apologetics ministries and Christian apologetics channels are defending the ideas of Christianity? A bunch. Are there Muslims who defend Muslim ideas? Of course there are. Are there Jews who defend Jewish ideas? Of course there are. Are there Hindus who defend Hindu ideas? Of course there are. Are there atheists who defend atheist ideas? Of course there are. So what can he possibly mean here when he suggests that Islam must be true because Islam defends its ideas? Well, as it turns out, he's not talking about defending your ideas with arguments and evidence. He's talking about defending your ideas with violence. He made this much clearer in an interview before he converted to Islam. Watch him explain, before he converted to Islam, how Islam fixes the problems that men are facing.
Islam fixes a lot of the problems that men are currently facing.
Yeah.
The problems we're discussing on this show, Islam fixes all of them, right?
Islam fixes problems. That's why so many men are packing their bags and moving to Muslim countries, because Islam fixes problems. Wait a minute. That's not what's happening at all. Millions of Muslim men are fleeing Muslim countries and moving to the West because they can't stand living in Muslim countries, despite the fact that Islam supposedly solved all their problems. Oh well, maybe they're coming here to fix all the problems.
If I had to bet on one religion as if I were betting on the stock market for the future, you have to bet on Islam. Because Muslims are intolerant. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, because if you're tolerant of everything, then you stand for nothing.
What did he mean earlier when he said that Islam is the only religion left in the world? He just told you. Islam is intolerant. Other religions are tolerant. So Islam is the only one that's going to survive. If he's going to pick a religion, he's going with Islam. Tell us about Christians, Tater.
Christians are so tolerant now. You don't believe it. They have gay pastors that I'm not even anti-gay, but if the book says don't have, like, what do you believe in now?
Right, yeah,
If you're tolerant of everything, you stand for nothing.
This guy really, really needs to do some research. There are gay pastors, and Christians don't kill them, so Christianity is doomed. That's interesting. Want to see how fast you can expose someone as a hypocrite? Meet America's first openly gay imam. Here's another gay imam helping LGBTQ Muslims in South Africa. Oh look, it's a gay imam in France. And here's a gay imam in Canada, and another gay imam in Australia. You Muslims who are watching, please explain this to me. If someone says to you, there are gay pastors, so Christianity is dead, and there are gay imams, so Islam is the religion of the future, how do you not spot the inconsistency? I really want to know how complete, utter, total hypocrisy became the foundation of your religion. But Tate isn't done. Believe it or not, he's about to say something that is absolutely correct.
I can walk through London with a t-shirt saying Jesus is gay and nothing will happen to me. If I did the same thing with the Islamic prophet, I'd be dead before I got to the end of the street.
Boom.
Why won't Christians kill you for mocking Jesus? Because Jesus specifically commanded his followers not to kill for him. If there was ever a time when it would have been appropriate to defend Jesus with violence, it was when a mob showed up to take him and crucify him. And his followers were ready to fight. What did Jesus say when Peter pulled out a sword and took a swing to protect him? He said, "Put your sword back into its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword." And then he goes on to say that if he really wanted to defend himself from these guys, he'd call out the angels. Jesus didn't need his followers to defend him with violence. But Muhammad ordered his followers to execute people for making fun of him. So Islam must be true, according to Andrew Tate. Here, watch.
That's how much they believe and respect. And I respect people who stick up for what they believe in.
Yeah.
It's not even about me believing in it. I respect them because they believe and they will defend. Muslims are the only people who will defend their religion. They will defend their beliefs. They refuse to be mocked. They refuse to be insulted. And I respect that about them.
Did you catch that? Remember earlier when he said that Muslims defend their ideas? We were wondering what he could possibly mean, since lots of other religions and ideologies defend their ideas. In context, we see what he meant. Islam defends its ideas with violence. And in Andrew Tate's mind, this means that it's going to outlast all other religions. And so, if he's going to join a religion, he's going to join Islam, because it's the only one that's going to survive feminism and LGBTQ issues and so on. Notice, there's nothing in Andrew Tate's conversion that has anything to do with Muhammad being a true prophet because X, Y, and Z. Tate converted because he's worried about how quickly the world is changing, and he thinks that Islam is the only thing that can protect him from all the change. So, what's actually going on here? Again, what happens when people feel threatened, feel like they're in danger, feel like they're being targeted? They start looking for someone or something that's going to protect them. That's why the tater tots turned to Andrew Tate. But Andrew Tate just did the exact same thing with Islam. He became a Muslim because he thinks that Islam is going to protect him from all the things that are scaring him about the world. So the tater is worried that women are out of control and that the world is degenerating. What's going to protect him? Islam. Did he convert to Islam because it's true? No. Islam, to him, is a means of social control. He's running to Islam for protection from a scary world, just like a young man who runs to Hustlers University for protection from a scary world. This is the most pathetic conversion story I've ever heard. Islam, can you protect me from women who don't do what I say and from all the gay people? Pathetic. So, how is this guy being paraded around the internet as the latest proof that Islam is true? He's being paraded around the internet because Muslims are so desperate to find some sort of confirmation for their religion in the midst of the avalanche of apostasy that they'll cling to anything. They'll cling to a guy who made his fortune by having women shake it in front of webcams for guys who were jerking off in front of their laptops. They'll cling to Andrew Tate, not realizing that all he's going to do is speed up the avalanche. What a religion. This really makes me want to sign up for Hustlers University so I, too, can learn to be an insecure little control freak who runs to Islam to protect me from girls talking back to me. Well, that's my take on the tater, but we're not done. Because my friend John McCrae also went through the tater's story, and believe it or not, John found some problems. Be sure to check it out.
You just backfired on me. You just backfired on me. This is a part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah?